What happens when two powerhouse women in entertainment clash so dramatically that security has to be called? What you're about to witness is the most shocking celebrity interview meltdown in recent memory, where a simple promotional appearance turned into an explosive confrontation that left everyone in the studio stunned. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below with your thoughts on celebrity interviews gone wrong. The atmosphere in Studio 6B was electric. As Jennifer Lopez walked onto the set of the Clarkson show, the audience erupted in applause, phones already recording every moment. Jennifer, radiant in a cream-colored blazer and gold jewelry, waved gracefully as she made her way to the guest chair. Clarkson, sitting behind her desk in a bold red dress, wore what appeared to be a welcoming smile, but those who knew her well could detect something colder beneath the surface. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incomparable Jennifer Lopez," Kelly announced, her voice carrying that signature warmth that had made her show so popular. Jennifer settled into her chair, crossing her legs elegantly and flashing that million-dollar smile that had captivated audiences for decades. "Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. I'm excited to be here," Jennifer said, her voice smooth and professional. She had done thousands of interviews, and this should have been just another routine appearance to promote her latest project. Kelly leaned forward slightly, her hands clasped together. "So, Jennifer, you've been in the spotlight for over 2 decades now. That's quite a run. Tell me, how do you manage to stay relevant in an industry that's constantly changing?" The question hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Jennifer's smile faltered for just a fraction of a second, but she recovered quickly. "Well, I think it's about evolving with the times while staying true to who you are as an artist. I've always believed in pushing boundaries and challenging myself creatively." "Pushing boundaries," Kelly repeated, her tone taking on a slightly sharper edge. "Is that what you call it? Because some people might say you've just been recycling the same formula for years. The music, the movies, the business ventures, it all feels very well calculated." A murmur rippled through the studio audience. Jennifer's back straightened, her media training kicking in as she maintained her composure. "I'm not sure what you mean by that, Kelly. I've worked incredibly hard to build my career and my brand. Every project I take on is something I'm passionate about." Kelly's laugh was light, but there was no humor in her eyes. "Passionate about? Or profitable? Because let's be honest here, Jennifer. You've turned yourself into a brand more than an artist. When was the last time you did something that wasn't focus grouped to death?" The tension in the studio was palpable now. Crew members exchanged glances, and the audience sat in uncomfortable silence. Jennifer's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I find it interesting that you're questioning my artistic integrity, Kelly. I've been performing and creating long before social media and reality TV made everyone think they could do what I do." "Reality TV," Kelly said, her voice rising slightly. "Are you referring to my time on American Idol? Because that reality TV show launched my career and gave me the platform to help other artists find their voice." "What platform did you use, Jennifer? Because from what I remember, it wasn't exactly your vocal talent that got you noticed." The studio fell dead silent. Jennifer's eyes flashed with anger, but she kept her voice steady. "I'm not going to sit here and let you diminish my accomplishments. I've worked my entire life to get where I am, and I don't need to justify my success to anyone, especially not to someone who's built their career on other people's dreams." Kelly's facade finally cracked completely. Other people's dreams? At least I help people achieve their dreams instead of crushing them. How many backup dancers have you gone through? How many assistants? How many people have you stepped on to get to where you are? "That's completely out of line," Jennifer shot back, her voice still controlled but her eyes blazing. "You don't know anything about how I run my business or treat my employees. This is supposed to be a promotional interview, not a personal attack." "Oh, I'm sorry," Kelly said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Am I not asking the right questions? Should I just fawn over your latest project like every other interviewer? Should I ask you about your workout routine and your skincare secrets? Is that what you were expecting?" Jennifer stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "I was expecting basic professionalism, which apparently was too much to ask for." She looked directly into the camera, her voice clear and strong. I came here to talk about my work, not to be ambushed by someone who clearly has their own agenda. Kelly also stood, her hands planted firmly on her desk. My agenda? My agenda is to ask real questions, instead of serving up softball interviews that mean nothing. If you can't handle that, maybe you should stick to platforms where you have more control over the narrative. The producers in the control room were frantically signaling, but both women were too locked in their confrontation to notice. Jennifer picked up her purse from beside her chair, her movements deliberate and dignified despite the chaos surrounding her. You know what, Kelly? I've been in this business long enough to recognize jealousy when I see it. I'm not going to stand here and be disrespected by someone who peaked 10 years ago and is now trying to tear down others to make herself feel relevant again. The audience gasped audibly. Kelly's face flushed red, and she came around from behind her desk. Peaked 10 years ago? I'm sorry, remind me again when your last album went #1? When was your last movie that wasn't a complete disaster? You want to talk about peaking? This is insane, Jennifer said, shaking her head in disbelief. I'm done with this. She turned toward the exit, but Kelly wasn't finished. Running away? That's very mature, Jennifer, very professional. I guess when you can't control the interview, you just leave, right? That's probably how you handle everything that doesn't go your way. Jennifer stopped dead in her tracks and slowly turned back around. The look on her face was one of pure steel. You really want to do this? Here? In front of all these people? I'm just asking questions that someone should have asked years ago, Kelly replied, her voice now loud enough for everyone in the studio to hear clearly. When did you stop being an artist and become just another celebrity desperate to stay in the headlines? The confrontation had reached a point of no return, and everyone in the studio knew it. Jennifer's voice was deadly calm when she finally spoke. You know what, Kelly? I've sat through a lot of interviews in my career. I've dealt with tough questions, controversial topics, even outright hostility from people who had legitimate reasons to challenge me. But what you're doing right now isn't journalism. It's not even good television. It's just petty. Kelly scoffed, crossing her arms. Petty? I'm being honest. Someone needs to be. Everyone else just kisses up to you because you're Jennifer Lopez. Well, guess what? That name doesn't intimidate me. It's not about intimidation, Jennifer replied, her voice growing stronger. It's about respect, something you clearly don't understand. I've been nothing but gracious since I walked in here, and you've been attacking me from the moment I sat down. Attacking you? Kelly's voice rose again. I asked you legitimate questions about your career. If you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. A producer finally stepped onto the set, clearly trying to salvage the situation. Ladies, maybe we should take a quick break and… No, Kelly interrupted, not taking her eyes off Jennifer. We're live. This is what live television looks like. Real conversations, real questions. Not the scripted garbage that passes for interviews these days. Jennifer looked at the producer, then back at Kelly. You want real? Let's get real. You brought up my employees, my business practices, my artistic integrity. You want to know the truth? I treat everyone who works for me with respect and fairness. I pay them well, I give them opportunities, and I've helped launch more careers than you can count. But you wouldn't know anything about that because you're too busy tearing people down instead of building them up. Building them up? Kelly laughed bitterly. That's rich, coming from someone who's famous for being demanding and difficult. I've heard the stories, Jennifer. Everyone in this industry has. Stories, Jennifer repeated, her voice taking on a dangerous edge. You mean gossip, rumors, the kind of toxic nonsense that people like you spread because you can't handle the fact that some of us work harder than others. Some of us demand excellence because we care about the final product. Demanding excellence, Kelly mocked. Is that what you call throwing tantrums when things don't go your way? Because I've heard about those too. The walkouts, the demands, the entitled behavior. The audience was completely silent now, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. Jennifer's publicist, who had been standing off to the side, stepped forward, but Jennifer held up a hand to stop her. You know what I find fascinating, Kelly? You're sitting here attacking my character, my work ethic, my entire career, and you don't even know me. You've never worked with me, never been on set with me, Never been in the studio with me. All you have are secondhand stories and tabloid gossip, but you're presenting them as facts. Kelly's face was flushed, her breathing slightly elevated. I don't need to work with you to see what's right in front of everyone's eyes. The constant reinvention, the calculated moves, the way you've managed to stay relevant despite, let's face it, limited talent. The words hung in the air like a slap. Jennifer's eyes narrowed, and when she spoke, her voice was ice cold. Limited talent, that's what you think. A woman who's had #1 songs, who's sold out arenas worldwide, who's starred in successful films, who's built a business empire from nothing, has limited talent. Coming from someone whose biggest achievement is being mean to people on a talk show. Mean to people? Kelly shot back. I'm being honest. I'm asking the questions that matter. Why are you so threatened by that? I'm not threatened, Jennifer said, her voice rising for the first time. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted that you would use your platform to tear down another woman instead of celebrating her achievements. I'm disgusted that you think this passes for entertainment. And I'm disgusted that I wasted my time coming here. Kelly stepped closer, her voice dropping to a harsh whisper that the microphone still picked up. You know what disgusts me? People who think they're entitled to respect they haven't earned. People who think their fame makes them untouchable. People who can't handle criticism because they're so used to being surrounded by yes-men. Criticism? Jennifer's voice was incredulous. This isn't criticism. This is a hit job. You invited me here under false pretenses, and now you're trying to humiliate me on live television. For what? Ratings? Your own ego? What's your endgame here, Kelly? My endgame is truth, Kelly replied, her voice shaking with emotion. My endgame is showing people who you really are when you can't control the narrative. When you can't have your people screen the questions and manage every detail. Jennifer laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to know who I really am? I'm someone who's worked every single day for 30 years to build something meaningful. I'm someone who's faced rejection, criticism, and people trying to tear me down, and I've kept going. I'm someone who's used my success to help others, to create opportunities, to make a difference. But you wouldn't know anything about that because you're too busy being bitter. Bitter? Kelly's voice cracked slightly. I'm not bitter. I'm successful. I have my own show, my own career, my own accomplishments. I don't need to tear anyone down to feel good about myself. Then why are you doing it? Jennifer asked, her voice cutting through the tension. Why are you standing here trying to destroy me on live television? What did I ever do to you? Did I hurt your feelings somehow? Did I not acknowledge you at an event? Did I not return a phone call? What is this really about? Kelly's mouth opened and closed, clearly struggling for an answer. The silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity before she finally spoke. This is about accountability. This is about not letting celebrities hide behind their PR teams and their carefully crafted images. Accountability, Jennifer repeated slowly. You want to talk about accountability? Let's talk about your accountability. You're a host. Your job is to make your guests feel welcome, to have meaningful conversations, to entertain your audience. Instead, you're using your platform to attack someone who came here in good faith. How is that accountable? The producer stepped forward again, more urgently this time. Ladies, we really need to. No, Kelly said firmly, cutting him off again. We're finishing this conversation. Jennifer came here to promote her projects, and I'm giving her the platform to do exactly that. So tell us, Jennifer, what makes your latest project so special? What makes it different from everything else you've done? Jennifer stared at Kelly for a long moment, clearly recognizing the trap. You're not going to let this go, are you? You're going to keep pushing until one of us breaks. I'm going to keep asking questions until I get real answers, Kelly replied. That's what journalists do. That's what talk show hosts are supposed to do. Journalists, Jennifer said with a bitter smile. Is that what you think you are? A journalist? You're not asking questions, Kelly. You're making accusations. You're attacking my character, my work, my entire life, and calling it journalism. That's not journalism. That's character assassination. The tension in the studio had reached a breaking point. Kelly's hands were shaking, Jennifer's jaw was clenched, and everyone watching knew that something was about to give. The audience sat in stunned silence, witnessing what would become one of the most infamous moments in talk show history. "You know what?" Kelly said, her voice now eerily calm. "Maybe you're right. Maybe I am being too harsh. Maybe I should just ask you about your workout routine and your skincare secrets. Maybe I should pretend that you're not exactly what everyone in this industry knows you are." Jennifer's eyes flashed dangerously. "And what exactly is that, Kelly? What am I?" Kelly smiled, but it was cold and calculated. "A has been desperately trying to stay relevant." The words hit like a physical blow. Jennifer's face went white, then red, and when she spoke, her voice was barely controlled fury. "Get me out of here! Now!" Jennifer's publicist immediately rushed onto the set, her heels clicking against the studio floor. "We're leaving. Right now," she announced, her voice cutting through the thick tension. But Jennifer held up a hand, her eyes never leaving Kelly's face. "No," Jennifer said, her voice deadly quiet. "I want to hear her say it again. I want everyone in this audience, everyone watching at home, to hear exactly what kind of person Kelly Clarkson really is. Go ahead, Kelly, say it again." Kelly's confidence wavered for just a moment, but she doubled down. "You heard me. A has been someone who peaked 15 years ago and has been desperately trying to recapture that magic ever since. Someone who's more famous for who she dates than what she creates." The audience audibly gasped. Jennifer's publicist stepped closer, whispering urgently, "Jennifer, please, we need to go. This is getting out of hand." "Out of hand?" Jennifer's voice rose, and for the first time, she let her composure completely slip. "This woman invited me onto her show, promised a platform to talk about my work, and instead she spent the entire time trying to humiliate me. And you think I'm the one who's out of hand?" Kelly crossed her arms, a smug expression on her face. "I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking. At least, I have the courage to be honest about it." "Honest?" Jennifer's laugh was sharp and bitter. "You want to talk about honesty? Let's be honest about why you're really doing this. You're attacking me because you're threatened. You're threatened by someone who's built a career that's lasted longer than yours. Someone who's achieved more than you ever will." "Threatened by you?" Kelly's voice cracked with disbelief. "I have a successful talk show, a music career. I've won Grammys. I've helped launch careers. What exactly should I be threatened by?" "By the fact that I've done all of that and more," Jennifer shot back. "By the fact that after 3 decades, I'm still here, still working, still creating, still relevant. While you're, 40 years old and already reduced to tearing down other women to feel important?" Kelly's face turned red. "I'm not tearing you down. I'm pointing out reality. Your last album flopped. Your last movie was a disaster. Your Las Vegas residency was half empty most nights. These aren't opinions, Jennifer. These are facts." "Facts?" Jennifer's voice rose to match Kelly's. "You want facts? Here's a fact. I've sold over 70 million records worldwide. Here's another fact. I've grossed over $3 billion at the box office. Here's one more fact. I've built a business empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But somehow, in your twisted mind, that makes me a has-been." The producer was frantically signaling from the control room, but both women were too locked in their battle to notice. Kelly stepped even closer, her voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "All of that was then. This is now. And now you're desperate. Now you're clinging to past glory while the world moves on without you. Now you're sitting in interviews like this one, trying to convince people that you still matter." Jennifer's eyes blazed with fury. "You know what, Kelly? You're right about one thing. I am desperate. I'm desperate to understand how someone who claims to support women, who built her career on being America's sweetheart, can sit here and systematically try to destroy another woman's reputation on live television." "I'm not destroying anything," Kelly replied, her voice shaking with emotion. "I'm revealing the truth about your attitude, your ego, your delusions of grandeur. The truth about why people in this industry really think about you." "The truth?" Jennifer's voice was now loud enough for the entire studio to hear clearly. "The truth is that you're a bully. The truth is that you're using your platform to attack someone who came here in good faith. The truth is that you're everything that's wrong with this industry. Kelly's mask finally slipped completely. Everything that's wrong with this industry? I'm not the one who's built a career on manufactured drama and fake relationships. I'm not the one who's more famous for my personal life than my actual work. I'm not the one who's turned being a celebrity into a full-time job. My personal life? Jennifer's voice was incredulous. You're going to attack my personal life now? You're going to judge my relationships? From someone who's been married how many times? From someone who's made her own personal struggles into public entertainment? The audience was completely silent, watching this car crash unfold in real time. Kelly's hands were visibly shaking now, her professional facade completely gone. At least I'm real about my struggles, Kelly shot back. At least I don't pretend to be perfect all the time. At least I don't hide behind an army of publicists and image consultants. Real about your struggles? Jennifer's voice was cutting. You've turned your struggles into a brand. You've made your trauma into content. You've built your entire persona around being the relatable, down-to-earth star. But underneath all that relatability, you're just another mean girl who can't handle someone else's success. Kelly's face was now completely red. Her breathing labored. Mean girl? I'm trying to have an honest conversation about your career, and you're calling me a mean girl? An honest conversation? Jennifer's voice was getting louder with each word. You've spent the last 20 minutes attacking my character, my work, my personal life, and my entire existence. If that's your idea of an honest conversation, then maybe you need to reevaluate what honesty means. Security guards had appeared at the edges of the set, clearly instructed to be ready to intervene. The producer was making cutting motions with his hands, but both women were too far gone to stop. You know what? Kelly said, her voice now completely unhinged. Maybe you should leave. Maybe you should go back to your mansion and your yes-men, and your carefully controlled world where no one ever challenges you. Maybe you should stop pretending to be an artist and just admit that you're a celebrity who got lucky. Jennifer stood perfectly still for a moment, her chest rising and falling rapidly. When she spoke, her voice was calm but filled with steel. You're right. I should leave. Not because I can't handle your questions, but because I refuse to be part of whatever psychological breakdown you're having on live television. She turned to walk away, but Kelly wasn't finished. Running away again? That's your solution to everything, isn't it? When things get tough, when people ask real questions, you just run away. Jennifer stopped and turned back one final time. I'm not running away, Kelly. I'm walking away from someone who's clearly lost control of herself and her show. I'm walking away from someone who's so consumed with jealousy and bitterness that she can't see straight. I'm walking away from someone who's forgotten what it means to be a professional. Kelly's voice cracked as she shouted, Don't you dare walk away from me. Don't you dare dismiss me like I'm nobody. I'm Kelly Clarkson. I'm the original American Idol. I earned my place in this industry. Jennifer's response was quiet but devastating. And I'm Jennifer Lopez. I've been earning my place in this industry since before you were even dreaming of being on television. The difference is, I've never forgotten where I came from, and I've never used my success as an excuse to tear down other women. She picked up her purse and walked toward the exit, her head held high despite the chaos around her. Kelly followed her, her voice getting more desperate with each step. You can't just leave. We're in the middle of a live show. You can't just walk out on my audience. Jennifer paused at the edge of the set and looked back at Kelly one last time. Watch me. Security stepped forward as Kelly moved to follow her further, gently but firmly blocking her path. The audience sat in stunned silence as Jennifer Lopez walked off the set with her dignity intact, leaving Kelly Clarkson standing alone in the wreckage of what had once been her reputation. The cameras kept rolling as Kelly stood there, her chest heaving, her carefully constructed image in ruins. The woman who had built her career on being America's sweetheart had just revealed herself to be something far darker, and everyone had witnessed it. That's the story of how Jennifer Lopez was kicked off Kelly Clarkson's show, not because she couldn't handle the questions, but because she refused to be part of a host's public meltdown. What did you think of this incredible confrontation? Drop a comment below and let me know which moment shocked you the most. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal what really happens behind the scenes in Hollywood.